Recording in progress. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, wherever you are in the world, live right now, coming from the platformOS studios. And if you're watching the recording, thanks for watching again. Clark, I think, is going to be watching this. This is his fifth time watching this video recording. Congrats, Clark. That's a record. Anyway, it's great to see everybody, and we have a great catch up today. My internet went down this morning, which was annoying, and it's still down. Thank goodness for Starlink. So I've got my Starlink up and running. So I don't think I'll have any problems. I've also got the coffee here, so I should be able to get things running in the afterburner mode in any second as soon as this kicks in. And we've got a fair few things to go over today. It's going to be very exciting. We have Scott Reynolds, who's going to be taking us through his AI companion in building things. So I'm very excited about that. We've got Maciek and myself, and I just want to give a caveat that the demo that I will be doing, I've only just learned how to do it. Philip, our resident expert who built the module that I'll be playing with, is on standby to be able to rescue me from any mistakes I make. So thanks, Philip, for being here. Also, thank you to JJ for getting emails out, and Aggie, of course, for coordinating everything behind the scenes. There's the unsung heroes that you may not always see on the screen. They do all the work, as usual. All right, let's get the screen shared and everything going here. Sharing, right there. And hopefully you see the screen with platformOS and AI Town Hall platformOS screen there. Good. All right. Well, welcome again to our Town Hall. Shane McGeorge actually preempted this. He will be coming up on the next Town Hall to present. But today we are very excited to have Maciek and Scott doing the biggest parts of the demos and updates. I will be doing a little one. As I said before, Philip is on our team who did all the heavy lifting and the creation of the MCP module. But what we would like to do is just say that some of the things that we're showing here are in ongoing development mode. There are things that you'll see in production and other things like the MCP module, which are a work in progress. And we want to get all of these tools out to you, our channel partners, so that you can play with them, adapt them, rip them apart, build your own versions, give feedback, tell us what you need. So this town hall is important to get the message out, get you updated. So what we'll do first, I'm going to do a little demo of the community module and also, or community solution as we call it. I'm going to build an instance, deploy the community solution, and then use the platformOS module to show how an MCP can be created that you are able to use. So let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. So I've got my partner portal set up and running here. Obviously, you can use your CLI tools and you can use your APIs for creating an instance, but we're going to just go ahead and go Atom MCP demo. And I'm going to drop this on my staging environment here and choose a zero fee billing plan and create the instance. You all know how to do this. You've all done this 100 or more times, thousands of times, tens of thousands of times for some of you. And here's my Hello World instance. It's got nothing in it. It's pretty vanilla. I'm going to go and do our little cut and paste cheat sheet, and we're going to add a little copy cheat next to this soon so that we don't have to drag and drop. But for now, dragging and dropping. Here's my instance folder over on my desktop. So I'm going to create a directory. We'll call it Atom MCP, and then we'll change into Atom dash MCP. There it is. It's empty. We're going to initialize it. We're going to authorize this folder so that in the next step, which we're going to do very quickly, is deploy code to this instance. It's going to be the community solution, of which everybody, if you're not already, go onto the community site on platformOS. We now have push notifications, all the code, etc., that you're going to be seeing me play with is part of the community platform, which you'll be able to build your own communities for your own agency and clients, of course. All right, so I've got that site up and running. We haven't deployed anything to it. We have authorized the folder. And now what I want to do is run a pos CLI GUI serve on staging. Let's spell it right, on staging, because we might as well have that running in the background. And we'll go ahead and we'll do a open on that link. And there it is. So there's my instance. It's empty. Vanilla, boring. Let's get started doing some cool things. So I'm going to, first of all, go to my cheat sheet so that I can quickly cut and paste what I need so that I can deploy. I don't need to clean anything. That's good. I don't need to run npm install on pos CLI. What I want to do is skip to this step and go ahead, get a new terminal up and start deploying or downloading some code. So let's do that. I'm in the Atom MCP folder. Let's get the clone of the repository for the platformOS community. While it's doing that, I'm going to go and grab the I'm going to go into the folder. Actually, Machek, that's a good question. Just for young players like me, while that's downloading, do I need to move into that folder before I do the platformOS modules install? I do, don't I? Because it's in that order.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So I just did that. The reason why I did that was there's nothing worse than looking at a screen with percentages and nobody's talking. So that was really just to make you what's the word? Get distracted. That's it. All right. So now I'm in this folder where I'll now also need to reauthorize. So let me go ahead and do that because, whoop, actually, yeah, I'm going to have to go and reauthorize that folder. That was something I actually forgot that I was going to move into this new folder. So let's go reauthorize that folder. All right, you know this better than I do. So now I'm reauthorizing this folder that has the actual code in it. All right, so let's authorize that because that's where I'm actually going to be working from. All right, so now we'll do a quick check and make sure that the .pos file is there. How do I check that? Let me check. I thought I put it in the
It
right.
starts with a dot. That's why you probably don't have it. You can type dash LA probably to also show the hidden files, but
Yeah,
you should have it.
that's what I
LA
did.
for all.
Oh, that's why. Okay, yeah, I put a H instead of A. All right, yeah, there it is. So we do have the POS file. Great. See, it's always good to have a real expert on hand. And now I've pulled that file, all that code down. What I want to do is also get the uh, other code I need. So I'm going to pull down the platformOS modules. So let's go and grab those. So install the modules, done, excellent. And now I'm going to be using my special demo, which is what Philip put together for me. So I'm checking out the Atom demo branch. So I'm switched over to that branch. Effectively now, what I can do is, of course, pos CLI deploy, deploy, deploy to the staging environment that we are authorized to be able to work with, having authorized this folder. So in the background, what is happening is we have objects created now. So remember that all of these, the schema has been created and a bunch of logs will probably be there. No, because we didn't have any errors probably. And we don't have any other things to look at. So great news, we have schema. Let's go and take a look at the actual site and you will see, ta-da, we now have our community solution deployed. Now I'm going to register firstly, and we'll go ahead and do that. And we will create a password that I use for demos. So we'll now register. Won't worry about saving it. I'm going to continue. Actually, we'll go music. No. Here we go. So I've registered and I've logged in. Now look at this little guy here. This is our MCP service where it's been downloaded. It's part of this solution And it's different from the raw tools, the platformOS tools that Maciek and Scott are going to go into later. This is a module that Philip has created, allowing you to build AI-powered functionality within the scope of the roles and permissions and any other guardrails that you want to build. So your create, read, update, and delete functions are strictly going to be adhered to. Even if somebody tries to go around the edges and hack it with some commands that might be untoward or trying to convince your AI agent to do things that it's not allowed to do. So this is a module which has a specific set of tools embedded within it, as you can see. And what I'll need to do first is create a token so that I'm able to run that on my terminal and get it running, a local MCP. First of all, it goes off and removes any existing ones, but it's actually doesn't need to because I don't have one. But now we have that done. If we now run also the other command that I have to do, the AI command, which does it, I don't think it matters, Maciek. Does it matter now that I'm
No,
running?
no, it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
No, you just
so
need to open cloud.
that's it. That's it. So I've now registered the platformOS MCP servers as well as the MCP module. And as you'll see when we go into Claude, we have the platformOS MCP servers, and that's all great. So confirm that. And if I go MCP, you'll see that there's also the local one, POS Community MCP Tools, which is the module that's part of this community solution that I downloaded from GitHub. And then I had the Atom demo branch, I've deployed, and that's running. So now what we're able to do is some cool things. And then I'm going to stop and we're going to hand over to Scott. So what I'd like to do is go back to the site, and very kindly, Philip has some example things that I can do. So I can go ahead and create an event on my community solution or a group or a post or whatever it happens to be relative to that solution. Maybe it's a blog and I need a new post and I'm lazy and I want AI to create some more AI slop for the internet. And I'm saying, build me a blog post. But maybe part of that tool and the skills that it has associated is so that it needs human review and specific editorial updates to the content before it's published. So it's not truly AI. There's some augmentation of a real human being with real intelligence in there. So let's go grab that prompt. Let's go run that. In fact, I should have done that first before I was yakking. And I'm going to go off and tell it to do something. Now, on the front side, back in the community solution, we have groups, we have events, we have all the things that you have with a community solution. And the specific MCP tool that's being used is this create event. It looks like something's going on here. Yes, and don't ask me again. So it's just prompting me through. It's doing its thing and create and published. All right, so let's also create a group for it. Yes, why not? So it's going to go, it's asked me, well, would you like to create a group for that as well? Like to do next? No, that'll do. Let's go back to the community solution and go to events. Magic. That created an event within the scope and functionality. It even created an image and added that. Let's see, did it create the group? No, not yet. All right, but it has created and deployed the event with all of the details, setting dates. It was created by me, the user. So that's a really quick test and to show that some of the functionality that the team are developing, not just with what you're going to see with Scott in moments and what Maciek and the back-end team, but what Philip has been able to do with a new layer on top, another AI MCP layer, and the tooling that you can set up could be for, as I said, anything. Or there could be a business process flow. The prompt could be exposed and the MCP run on a dedicated private server environment, which is using a localized LLM that isn't owned by ChatGPT or Grok or anybody else, that is specific to your client and is using an MCP that is very strictly adhering to the rules that are set so that people aren't going to get around the usual roles permissions that you would expect in a normal user interface interaction. So there you go. I hope that showed you a little bit. We're now going to throw over to Scott Reynolds. Mate, how long have we been working together?
Forever,
Forever. Yeah. I think it's
forever.
longer than the ages of my second oldest child, who I think is, yeah, he's coming on to 25 or something. So it's over 20 years, I'm pretty sure.
That makes us sound very old.
Does. All right, mate. It's over to you. Thanks, Scott, for being here, and very excited to see what you've got going.
You're a hard act to follow, Adam. That was amazing. I
Well,
already
that
want to
wasn't
change
me.
my presentation to include that.
Well, that is the team's work. I'm just the pretty face, as Clark Mack might say.
I believe that actually. I believe that.
Good. Over to you, mate.
All right. Well, thanks, Adam. So I'm Scott Reynolds with Thrize and HR Jetpack, and we are an education company, and we focus on HR professionals. And today I want to talk about the app I wouldn't have, shouldn't have, couldn't have built a year ago. Um, Bear with me. There we go. But before we get into the demo, I kind of wanted to talk about a philosophy that has completely changed, or, because of AI, the conversation has changed. But this philosophy kind of stays the same no matter what happens, right? This is kind of how we look at it internally, that tools should bend to your organization, not the other way around. And you could also say it, software should bend to your business. The business shouldn't bend to your uh, software. And it always leads to the famous debate, to build or to buy, right? I'm sure you've all been through this. And should you build the software or should you buy the software? And of course, if you build the software, you get everything you want and nothing that you don't. But, there's a trade-off, right? It can take longer. It always takes longer, and it can cost more. Or you buy, right? You buy the software and you will get it faster, and it might not be inexpensive, but it'll be less expensive than if you build. But that can be limited, right? Because you don't actually control the software that you are buying. So the question is, when do you buy? The way that we look at it, our rule of thumb is if it does exactly what you need, then you buy it, right? Like we're not going to make all the software that we use. We have email software and it does everything we want it to and more. We have project management software, it does everything we need and more. So there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So in most cases, it makes more sense just to buy. But there's a trap that you can fall into, right? Let's say you're looking for software, so you create a spreadsheet with, all the different vendors and you have the pros and cons, all the different features, and you try to find the one that's closest, excuse me, the closest to what you need. And so you end up, going with that vendor. And then you make a business decision and you're like, well, our software can't quite do that. So let's see if we can get close to what we want, right? And so you go that way. Or you try to hack it to try to get it to what you need. Or let's say your business changes, right? Like you want to make a different decision and you're like, well, can our software do that? Can our tech stack do that? You're like, no, okay, well, and you start to compromise. And that's a terrible place to be, right? Because now, like it says here, you base your business decisions around someone else's product. And that is a terrible trap to be. And you can try to switch your software, but that also comes with a ton of pain. So when do you build? Well, That really depends, right? That's an internal thing. But I'm going to give you two examples of when we built using Platform OS. One simple, one more complex. So this is the simple one. So we're an education company. So we've rented a video studio in New Haven, Connecticut, where we hire an instructor to come in and they read a teleprompter, right? Because we create a lot of self-paced courses. And so the studio came with a teleprompter, but it was clunky and we had a lot of trouble using it, and it really kind of distracted us from what we needed to do. So we said, okay, well, there's a ton of teleprompter software out there, so let's go buy one. So we did, but it still just didn't quite work. We might have cheaped out a little bit. We bought an inexpensive one. So we said, okay, we'll just buy a more expensive one, a better one with more features. So we did that and we couldn't really get that to work. So it seemed like every time we were going into the studio, we were like trying new teleprompter software. And we're just like, this is getting silly, right? Like it's not that hard. We should just make our own. So we did using Platform OS. We made a teleprompter, a very simple teleprompter app. It did everything we wanted, nothing that we didn't. And it integrated with our workflow, and we even connected it to our LMS, and it was beautiful, right? It almost like disappeared. Like we didn't think about it anymore because we built exactly what we wanted. We formed it into what we wanted. So that was a really great decision. The other one, which was a much more difficult decision, a lot more complex. So we're an education company. Every education company needs a learning management system, usually referred to as an LMS. And so if you ever shopped for an LMS, there are so many LMSs in the marketplace, like a ridiculous amount. And I don't know how many demos that I sat through. I even signed up for a couple uh, and tried them out, and I just couldn't get them to work. So eventually, we made the decision, a very difficult decision, to make an LMS. And it took a while, right? And it was a lot of work, and it was very challenging. But we did it using Platform OS, and I'll tell you, it was the best decision we ever made, probably. Uh, when we first started this, we were sort of a newer company, and we didn't know exactly what direction we were going to go into. So we didn't really know what features we would need or what we wanted at that point. So having a software that we could sort of mold into as we matured was just amazing. I mean, we take chances. We try new things, and we're not limited to traditional off-the-shelf LMSs. We just make whatever we want. We you know Platform OS sort of bends to what we want, not the other way around. So pre-AI, there's other software that you really can't build. So this is another scenario where, like, okay, I want to build something, but it's just too big, too complex. I mean, that LMS was difficult. Anything bigger than that, more complex than that, no way. Um, just to kind of show to say like a more, maybe an extreme example. Let's say you use Photoshop and it doesn't do everything you want. You're not going to go make another Photoshop and add the features that you want to it, right? That would just be crazy. It'd be too big. It'd be, you'd need like a team of developers, and they would need years to even try to match something like that. So you'd be like, okay, I guess I'll just use Photoshop. But something changed, right? And obviously, that change is AI. AI has completely changed the idea of build versus buy, right? Sort of put the thumb on the weight towards build. And when I first started using AI with Platform OS, and I'm sure many of you have had this experience, it wasn't it wasn't great, right? Like I remember trying to output like a date time in the New York City time zone, and it would just like break the page, like literally the page wouldn't load. And so I'd go in there, I'd manually change it, create a skill and say, don't ever make that mistake again. If you ever have to do this, this is how you do it. And I would use AI, and every time it broke, I would create a new skill and fix it manually. And it got better and better and better, but it wasn't quite perfect. And then I started using Platform OS's supervisor agent. And I highlighted it here because you're probably not using it, and you probably should. And it just knows platform OS inside and out, even the best practices. So using the supervisor along with a frontier model is just amazing, right? So you on the right-hand side, you have the killer combination, someone who's knowledgeable in platform OS, or at least an experienced developer. You have the supervisor, and then you have, Claude Code, Open Code, um, Codex using one of the frontier models. And the person who's knowledgeable about platform OS is sort of like the director who looks over the supervisor, and the supervisor kind of works with the model. And the supervisor doesn't look at the code after, right, and try to fix it. It actually works while the frontier model is working. So it really is incredible what you can build now. I should have actually added another item there, like the platform OS core modules, right? Like the user module. Now we have an MCP one, it sounds like. That also speeds things up, keeps it secure, keeps it from being like a vibe coded app that's all junky, right? It keeps everything quick and clean and reliable and secure. So now I'm thinking, right, what are the pain points that we have in our company that we couldn't have done anything about before, but now we actually can? And again, we're an education company. We make a lot of self-paced courses. I've personally probably edited over 100 self-paced courses over the last decade or so. And I've used all kinds of different editing software. My go-to is Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, Adobe Audition, that sort of thing. But one of the problems I've always had with these different apps is that the editor doesn't know it's making a course, right? I could be making a dog video and put it on TikTok, or people use these like literally they make Hollywood movies using Adobe Premiere. Or you could be making a course or anything, right? It's everything for everybody. And uh, so whoever's using the editing software has to be able to configure it to make a course. They have to know what they're doing with that app to make the course. You should be focusing more on the editing than you are with actually your course. So I figured, I imagine an editor that knows it's editing a course. It knows the course content. It knows your instructor. It knows your branding. It's contextually aware. The slides are smart. And I haven't seen anything out there. So we built one. And let me show you now. Okay. So I'm going to have to hide the Zoom menu. So let me just give me a second here. Put it over here. Okay, so this is the app. By the way, it's still a work in progress. We're not done, but we've come far enough where I can confidently show a demo. So this is the main page, right, where the projects are. But on the left-hand side, you have all of these different options. We've made it from the ground up so it could work with teams. We've met with a lot of learning and development professionals to find their pain points. We have our own pain points, with what we do, but we wanted to see what else was out there. And one of the things was trying to work in teams to create courses. So we're like, okay, we're going to need workspaces. So the user can have different workspaces depending on their team, and they can invite different people to the workspace. Of course, this uses AI, so there are tokens or credits that you have to keep track of. You have the different projects, the different courses that you're going to be making. You have different instructors. It says personas here, but I think we're probably going to change that to instructors, where you can configure an instructor. You have brands, like different branding kits, where you can, tell the app, what font, what's your logo, what your colors are, how you want things to work. There's different slides, different templates that you can use. They're built in, right? You don't have to remake them like in other editors. You're going to have these slides all built in. Of course, you're going to need your media library where your videos and images are, and that sort of thing. But let's get to the fun part. So this is the studio, if you will. This is an actual course. And I'm going to jump into one that we've already edited. So this is an actual uh, course that we're working on. And this is a lesson that we have finished. So it's script based. So on the left-hand side, you have the script of the course. You have the main canvas, and then you have all of the settings and tools on the right-hand side, and I'll show those off in a little bit. But the way it works is basically it's instructor-led or script focused, where instead of using a timeline like a traditional editor, you edit things using the script. By the way, there is a timeline, so we definitely have that. So that is an option if you wanted to use that. But pretty much the focus of it is the script. And you can see these little markers here and there. So I'm just going to play a little bit of it just so you can kind of see how it works.
Welcome to HR Consultation, Driving Effective Change. My name is Christina Danforth. This course is designed for HR professionals by an HR professional. Throughout this course, you'll develop critical skills, learn about structured methodologies, and enhance your strategic influence within your organization. Consultation.
So let's go back to here and let's say I select this. You can see the script is highlighted. You can see where it comes in and where it goes out. And I'm not going to mess with this because it's actually a lesson that it's an actual lesson that we do. I'll show a demo in a minute, but you can drag these. If I skip down to here and I click on this, you can see this is highlighted. You can see where it comes in, where it goes out. You can see the different line items that are revealed when the instructor speaks certain words, and you can actually drag these and edit them at will. So that is how that works. And let me show the features. And some things that you wouldn't find in traditional editors, like the course, right? When I click on course, it shows the entire course. This isn't fully developed yet, but you could imagine all the different modules and lessons, and you can jump back and forth easily between the lessons. And the reason why that's important is because you often have to go back and forth and check between different lessons. Oh, did I already do this? Let me copy something from the first lesson and bring it to the second lesson, that sort of thing. You can do different canvas sizes. So we traditionally do 16:9, right? That's wide, but you could do, if you wanted to do something for a phone or something, you could choose a different size. We have different layouts. So if you wanted a preset layout, you could do that. We have media, you could add videos, images. We have all kinds of elements like text, icons, shapes, graphics, which are basically like the slides, like what you saw earlier. You can just quickly add built-in slides or make your own. And we have a layer. So if you wanted to reorder things or delete or edit certain things and you wanted to see it in a layered form, you can do that. And then you have the different instructors. So you can actually select different instructors for the course. So let me go into a demo so we can kind of play with it a little bit. So this is one I just quickly made up for this. Talks about platformOS. Oh, and by the way, so the previous one that you saw, it was a video that we actually did in a studio. This one is an avatar. So we have different instructors. And if I click on the instructor here, you can see that you can change instructors if you want to. So this is actually an avatar that was generated with a certain voice. So that's what I kind of mean about like you can build instructors. And so let's say we wanted to add a lower third. So I'm gonna just highlight some text here. And I can do it manually by going over here. But one of the visions in using this is that we want people to be able to think of it like they're sitting next to an editor and they just tell the editor what to do and it does it. So I'm just going to give this a try. Add a lower third. So now AI is looking at the course and it just added a lower third. So I'm going to just preview the lesson.
Christina Danforth with HR Jet.
And you'll see that it animated it in. It put the instructor's name and the course name, right? Because it knows it's editing a course, it knows who the instructor is, it knows the title of the course, it knows your branding colors. And because of where I highlighted it, it knew where to add it. But let's say we don't want the lower third to be the title of the course. I could have given it more clear instructions. I gave it the most vague instructions just to kind of show uh, that it's smart, right? It knows what to do. Change the subtitle to platformOS demo. So something you would tell the editor if they were sitting right next to you, right? So now it changed it to platformOS demo. Black. You want to change the color of it really fast. And that last one kind of is important because, when the way I look at it is, using AI is amazing, right? Because it's really smart, but you don't always have to use it. So if you're going to have a common instruction, like change a color, there should be shortcuts that don't even need AI. So that last one, it knew that I wanted to change the background to black. So it did it instantly without even talking to AI. Okay. So let's give it a more advanced instruction. So I'm highlighting some content and I'm going to say, add a bullet list that emphasizes the main points and reveals when the words are spoken. And this is dangerous doing this in a live demo, having AI do it on the fly, right? But hopefully it works out. All right, so it is now looking at the content, figuring out, okay, we need to add bullet points, what the bullet point should say, and when they should actually, each bullet point should be revealed, if you will. Okay, so let's see. Cross your fingers.
Why? It's secure by design. Permissions and user management are built in. It's fully managed.
Okay, so it obviously did a good job, but a better spot would be there. Easy to work with, right? So you can actually manually do things and have AI work together. So it's not like AI does it and then it's done, and then you have to tell AI to change it, right? You can actually work with AI. You can move things, adjust them, and then go back to talking to AI. So you can do all AI or no AI, or usually turns out to be a mix. But you'll see here in the script that it shows when the bullet list is first comes in, and then when it goes out, and then it has each bullet item. So if you don't like where it is, you can either ask AI to move it for you, or you can just kind of move it yourself. So let's say I want these to be revealed a little sooner. You could absolutely do that. Or let's say you want to animate it. So of course you could ask AI, or you could jump into the animation, say, I want these to kind of slide in when they pop in, and then when they leave, let's do the same thing. So, all right, so let's try playing this.
And here's why. It's secure by design. Permissions and user management are built in. It's fully managed. We focus on our product, not servers. It's flexible. We build what our business needs, not what off-the-shelf software allows. And it's modular. Ready-made modules mean new features ship fast, secure,
Okay, yeah, and the animations are kind of nice because that would take a lot if you were using a traditional software. It's not super hard if you know the application, but it's a little time consuming. It certainly isn't instant like what I just showed you. Okay, so let's do this. Remove the bullet list. All right, so it's gone. But I am gonna select the same area that I want the in and out to be. And this time I'm going to say, add a partial list slide that emphasizes the main points. So a very similar concept, right? We want the same content to be emphasized, but we want it in a slide form. And let's keep going with that. Reveal when the words are spoken. So in this case, we'd be doing the very similar thing where it looks to see where the words are spoken, and then it adds the markers. And you can actually see it here in the script. But why this is different is, let me just play it.
Here's why. It's secure by design. Permissions and user management are built in. It's fully managed.
So you might have noticed that when the slide came in, it actually moved the instructor. So it knew that there was an instructor there and didn't want to cover the instructor. So it actually like pushed it over, right? And gave us a title, why platformOS. And again, you can work with AI to make updates. So I could easily just double click there and put a question mark, but let's see if AI can do it. Add a question mark at the end of the title. Yeah, so it just did. But the really cool thing about that is that it, you can do it in apps or you can animate stuff like that, animate the slide in, and then you try to match the instructor to move over when the slide comes in. But how cool is it that you can just have it automatically done? You don't have to spend time working on it. And of course, if you wanted to change when the words were revealed, you could, just quickly move these or tell AI to do it. And by the way, if it pushes the instructor, it should pull the instructor back.
Ship fast, secure, manage.
So that is one of my favorite parts, just trying to make it smart, right? Because it knows it's a course, so it should do smart things related to courses. All right, so now I'm going to give it something really hard because I want it to show you if it has a challenging prompt to build a plan. Otherwise, instead of just having one prompt do a whole bunch of things, which it can, but if it's too many things, it's smart enough to know to create a plan and then execute that plan step by step. So again, this is probably something that I should be careful of doing a live demo in, but we're going to see how it goes. Add one of each shape. Each shape has a different color. Put the arrow in the center and have all the other shapes make a ring around the arrow, and no shape should overlap another shape. All right, cross your fingers. So this shows, what I'm showing here is, first of all, the plan, right? Building a plan that it should be smart enough to do that. All right, so it says it's 2 steps. Let's just kind of look at it. So I would have thought it would have been more steps, but that's fine. So the first step is going to add a center arrow and a half ring of shapes. And then the second one is to put the remaining ring shapes. So let's see how it does. So the plan is the important part, but it's also contextually aware. So it knows where the other shapes are, right? It knows how to make a ring. So that's the first part of it. And now it's working on the second half. Okay, not bad. Not a perfect ring. And I see at least 2 that are overlapping, but not bad for its first try, right? And like I said, it's contextually aware. It knows what's on the canvas. So, and it put the arrow in the right place, which is the important part. So I'm going to say, rotate the arrow so it's pointing at the star. All right. And the reason why this is important, even though this is something that, no one would ever do, right? You probably wouldn't have an arrow and then tell it to point at a star. Uh, it's important because knowing where other things are on the canvas is really important in general when you're making slides or adding text and that sort of thing. And I'll show you that in a second. Um, all right, so I'm gonna say remove, um, remove shapes. All right, remove the arrow. So I gotta say remove all shapes. When you have something selected, it gives that preference. So I said, remove shapes, and it was like, okay, it wants to remove this shape because it has it, selected. So sometimes you have to be a little bit more specific, which is, I'm sure you guys all know, part of prompting, right? Okay, so the reason why that was important to show is that it knows what's on the canvas. So I'm going to say, uh, add a title to the canvas that says, why platform OS? All right, so that's pretty basic, but I'm going to move it down. And since, I was giving an example of how it's contextually aware. If I now say, add a subtitle that says, because it's reliable and fast, that hopefully, AI is non-deterministic, but it should be smart enough to say, okay, a subtitle should go under a title. So it finds it on the canvas. It goes, okay, what's on the canvas? There's a title, so I'll add a subtitle underneath the title. And so that might not seem like a big deal, but it really is. Instead of everything just being thrown in the center and then you have to either tell it to move it or you drag it yourself, it's way better that it knows it's editing a course and it's contextually aware. All right, so let's see if we can keep going with that. One last thing. Put a rectangle behind the title and subtitle to make the title and subtitle pop. And hopefully it's the last one, right? So with a demo, you never know. Beautiful. All right, great. So it it knew where the title and subtitle were and know to put it not on the top, right? Because the ordering is complicated. It put it behind it and it used our main brand color. You can actually see our brand colors up here that we chose. Actually, and if I double click this, go to colors, you can actually see the brand colors right here, front and center, if you wanted to, change them. Or if you wanted, a custom color, you could do that as well. But I think that's probably a good place to stop. And I will stop sharing and come back.
Just 1 second. My jaw just is on the floor here somewhere. I think I'll go and grab it. Um, Mind blown. Scott, absolutely amazing. And what is absolutely more amazing is that this is Scott's avatar that's been doing this presentation the whole time. The real Scott in real life is actually on an island because his corporate development M&A Claude agent has just secured a deal to buy Adobe. And yeah, just mind blown, mate. Absolutely
Thank
incredible.
you.
Seriously
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
Behind the scenes, we're all texting each other going, this is awesome. And it is. And the next step will be the Neuralink implant. So you won't even have to talk to your screen. You'll just think about what you want and it'll just appear as you need it. I'm blown away. Thank you, Scott, for an incredible demo and setting the scene too with the platformOS supervisor. Philip is here on the screen somewhere, and Machek, and the team behind the scenes love seeing this because obviously they're putting a lot of effort into platformOS, the automated DevOps, limitless application development, AI augmentation, the supervisor tool that's now part of the CLI, the new MCP module, which I think you will love and be able to incorporate in this tool for even more stricter controls and flexibility for the end customer to be able to do certain things and not worry so much about the possible security implications, this multi-layered approach. I can't wait to see what you're doing next, mate, because that was incredible. Everyone's smiling. Everyone's in the room, just going, wow. So where to from here? Scott said, I don't know how I can, outdo Adam. My goodness. I was amateurville in comparison, and what you've shown there is in terms of an application that has practical use, and immediately my brain's going in lots of different directions with how. What's the name of the product now? I know it's in prototype, but
Yeah, we're really creative. Right now, we're calling it a course creator.
Course Creator, awesome. So HR Jetpack Course Creator is a product in and of itself, and I think as a solution that others could incorporate or use or whatever you want to do with it, eh, the sky's the limit. Honestly, you've put years and years of what you've needed to build or what you've wanted in a product to build courses and into exactly what you wanted, and you prompted a lot of the development that built what you're now using with customer facing prompting to then build out courses. So the layers on that are just amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, the ideally it would be at any level, right? So somebody, if they were familiar with editors, they could do it just using normal editing, or if they didn't know it at all. Because, if you look at all the different settings and everything, it could be a little tricky for someone who doesn't know anything. So I'd really love for someone just to be able to talk to it. So there's so much more we can do, and that'll be for another day, I guess.
Yeah, no, you definitely you're going to be able to prompt a better version of Premiere Pro in no time. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And I do a lot of editing myself, so all the tools that you had below the fold that you hid away, I'm like, oh, show me more of that. And then you hit it, and then you just prompted it. It was like, oh my goodness, the time saving. It just, and you just reduced what could be hours and hours down to minutes. Oof, brilliant. Well, congratulations on the incredible product that you're building there. We'd love to promote that. I know a lot of companies that would be just like aghast at the time they've taken to use tools that they currently have, and will probably want to talk to you about using yours. Okay, well, Maciek, that really is a hard act to follow. And we are going to hand over to Maciek. Philip, by the way, who's here, has done the lion's share of the work on the supervisor experimentation that we did, which has now become part of the POS CLI tool. And he's also that MCP, localized MCP with the community module. He's also built that module as well. So questions that you might have on a technical basis, you've got the right people in front of you. But Maciek is going to take over at this point while we all just are in the afterglow of Scott's incredible presentation and demo, and try and focus in on what Maciek has got to show you, because it is also pretty cool, a little bit more geeky, and he's going to show you some of the things under the hood so that you too can be like Scott. All right, Maciek, over to you.
Yeah, I'm speechless. I just thank you, Scott, for sharing this. I'm so impressed. I mean, I'm blown away, and it makes me just. I don't want to show my screen. I don't want to show anything. I just want to think about what you've just shown us. I'm still processing it. It's so amazing. So I feel really stupid right now showing a couple of slides, but well, it is what it is. And so I will just share my screen, and I will just bring up to speed and share a little bit about what we've been up to, what we created since the last town hall, and what are our next goals. Obviously, if you follow release notes, everything is documented here on our documentation site /release notes, and also there is a changelog in our post CLI. So if you want more details, feel free to visit those two sources. But as a quick highlight. So we created pos-CLI AI init, And Scott mentioned at the beginning of his presentation that maybe some of you haven't used pos-supervisor yet, and it was a standalone tool. And we want everyone to be using it. And this is one of the tools that we'll keep working on and we'll keep improving. And I believe this is the future. And this is what I shared in the last town hall, and nothing has changed. So post CLI AI init would be an entry point to use all our AI tools. Currently, what it does, it sets up two MCP servers, one for pos-CLI and pos-supervisor, which is now part of the pos-CLI 6.2 version. So if you download pos-CLI, you don't need to install anything else. All you need to do is go to your project, invoke pos-CLI AI init. It will also ask you about what tool do you use, and it will create a small file with the MCP configuration, and you will be able to use all of well, the latest tools that we have. So hopefully this will make it super easy to start using AI. The next part of improvements we've done is for debugging. Sometimes when you had an error, you probably noticed that you just had an error message, but no information what generates this error, what was the line of the code, and so on. So we improved it, and now every log should have a line of code that generates it, and also a stack trace, so you will be able to easily track it. So if you have a debugging log, or maybe you have an error, now you will be able to find it. And more importantly, AI agent will be also able to find it very easily. And we'll keep improving it. Another set of improvements are currently on staging for liquid filter validation if there's an error. But our goal is that every single error, every single log, no matter where it comes from, whether it's a background job or a page or anything, you should know where it's coming from and be able just to fix it. Another set of improvements we are doing for migration. So we want to make it super easy to migrate sites to dedicated private stacks, and we believe this is also a feature. So we created a pos-CLI DNS migrate command. This will copy all of your DNS records between partner portals, so that there won't be a necessity of manually moving all the CNAMEs and other DNS records manually, one by one. And what we are working on right now is also to make it super easy using pos-CLI site copy to migrate constants and background jobs. As currently, there is no easy way to do it. Now, obviously, you can manually do it or write a simple loop, but we want to do it for you. And this will be part of the future release of pos-CLI. We are continuing working on our modules. So we just improved pos-CLI modules install. What we experiment internal with, and that's why those improvements were necessary, is that we want to keep all of our external modules in git ignore, so you don't need to version track them. And what we did, so we realized that there are a couple of developer experience issues that we now solved. So you should be able to easily add all of your external modules to git ignore, and everything should work nicely, because pos-CLI modules install will now automatically resolve all of your local dependencies and update the version. So previously it was done through git pull, but if you only change log file now, which is tracked in Git repository, but the module files are not tracked, then you can have a mismatch after git pull, because someone might have work on a branch to update the module, and then another developer would not have those changes, right? Because they would need to invoke a command on their local computer, and they might just simply forget about it, or maybe AI agents forget about it, right? So now pos-CLI modules install will resolve all the dependencies nicely and will update the modules. But if for some whatever reason AI agent or you will forget about this, then the server will still install the correct version of a module automatically based on the log file. So log file will be the source of truth, and local files will be only for other tools to work properly, like pos-CLI check run and pos-supervisor, obviously. Okay. The next set of improvements, we are continue making Liquid AI friendly, and we've added multi-line tag support for all other tags. Previously, it was only for render, so now we made it also available for function tag, include, and others. This is something that will be used within the Liquid script tag. And that's the the way how AI agents usually write code anyway. So instead of telling AI agents that, oh, you cannot use multi-line in platform OS because it wasn't supported by Shopify, we just made it work. So go ahead and use it. And also we've added JSON literal argument. So instead of creating a hash using, some platform OS only specific filters like parse JSON or attacks like hash assign, you will be able just to invoke function using JSON arguments as well, easily as you would expect in any other programming language. So it's nice shortcut, and also that's something that AI loves to do. So now it will work and it will not have to correct itself. We continue working on our modules. So we just released post-module push notifications. That's something that we use in production on our community site. And if you want to add push notifications to your sites, you can now do so easily by installing this module and creating necessary encryption keys and set them as a constants. Everything is documented in README. You can, of course, also ask just Cloud Code or any other AI agents to process the README and generate everything for you, because it will have access to all the tools it needs. And also we've added post-module CAPTCHA's abstraction layer with a couple of providers. This works best on private stacks because an API call is triggered server-side to verify CAPTCHA, but it would allow you to easily test various providers and switch if you will have preferences for other CAPTCHA provider, and you will not have to change a lot of code, because all you would need to do is change a constant to point to different provider, and everything will keep working as it was. And obviously, what Adam was showing, this will be released as a module, and it will be named pos-module-MCP. It's currently private. It's still in development, but we'll release it soon and we'll let you know. And it will allow you to create tools for your own instance. And Adam showed how he authorized his own user. So he registered as Adam Broadway on the instance. It was instance user, and then he generated a token which was connected to this user. So it has nothing to do with post-CLI, with being a developer. Any user of your instances will be able to consume tools that you create and you specify. And obviously, you will be able to set some permission. Maybe some tools will be hidden behind a paywall, and they will have to pay certain fee to be able to use it, and so on. It will be up to you, but that's something that we would like to support natively as our official module. Last but not least, we finally allow you to point certain queries, route certain queries to read replicas. Read replicas are disabled by default. You will be able to enable them on dedicated private stacks. But if you will have a lot of data, or a very popular site, now instead of having to vertically scale MasterDB, you will be able to just create read replicas and point certain queries to read replicas through GraphQL. It's necessary because there will be replication lag, so maybe not all of the queries will be safe to be routed to read replicas. Maybe in background jobs you rely on record being available to consume and so on. But search queries, for example, doesn't matter if a newly added record is just not yet there, and it will be in a couple of seconds. So for those kind of queries, you will be able to say, hey, I'm okay with using read replicas. And yeah, I guess that's it. I went quickly through it. There was no avatar instructor who was saying it was me, but maybe next time I'll see if I would create virtual magic to those updates. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Maciek.
Questions?
Brilliant. Oh, there's so many questions. I know lots and lots of questions are going to come through. I just want to point out some of the points. There's a big team that goes on behind the scenes that makes all this happen. So shout out to our DevOps team on the DNS bulk stuff, the development team who's working on the MCP tooling, the ideas man of Philip, who's been working diligently on all of that. Of course, Maciek directing the whole team behind the scenes. Incredible work. And just a point on the read replicas, a little dear project of mine. I know I've been watching the calendar on when that might happen. Why that is an important feature for people on dedicated private stacks is the cost basis. So all of you using dedicated private stacks, you'll be able to incrementally increase throughput and direct traffic to what is more often or not than not a read versus a write. And so rather than having to beefing up the entire stack, you can just enable read replicas, which for a big chunk of the work would then be a lot less expensive. So better value. Better value is the idea here. And so the option there for dedicated private stacks to leverage that read replicas just makes for a really easy development environment for your developers without having to think about any of the back-end DevOps, and scale in a incremental pricing range that is just super valuable for you because you're going to on-sell that to your customers. And so the idea of minimizing overhead for compute is what we're all about, but also maximizing your developer path as well with all of the AI tooling. All right, I'm going to stop there. Thanks, Maciek. Great overview. Thanks, Philip, for being there to back me up when I had any technical problems, which I did not. So thanks for the training on all of that. Scott, I've still got goosebumps, honestly, just seeing what you did there and it working flawlessly. It just was brilliant. And I think you're going to really enjoy the POS MCP module as well. I think you'll be able to take that and use that framework within your solutions to do some pretty amazing things. You're going to blow our minds next time. Questions? Everyone's just looking forward to trying things. Great work, Scott. Any other questions while we've got the team here in front of us? Otherwise, of course, you can go to the community solution and start asking questions. Shane's got a question. The idea is to take the load off the database when you are trying to view data. Yes, correct. Yes, so a read replica is exactly that. It's a separate pod which is in real time, as close to real time as possible, replicating the main high availability read-write cluster and enable those reads to be redirected to a less expensive cluster that's dedicated to reads only. And that will take load off the read-write cluster. So yeah, good question. You're on track with that thought. Is that much that a dev has? No, the code was, Maciek, do you want to just bring up that code again just to show the
Sure.
example in Liquid?
So to
It's just,
redirect the query, this is a regular GraphQL query. Probably you have something like that, like a lot of things like that in your code base already if you're using our database, and all you would need to do is just specify a new option argument and set read replica to true. And then if the read replica is available in the infrastructure, it will just redirect the query automatically to read replica. If read replica is not available, then it would behave as it wasn't there. So you cannot break anything. You can already implement your solution to be able to use read replicas, and that they will be used available on the stack.
and the reason why we give that as a choice for those who want read replicas turned on is that for some queries, you absolutely must be atomic in the query transaction return. So it needs to be, if the write hasn't synced up with the read replica yet, and it's not there, and you go to read that, and the data isn't there, even if the read replica is available, then you're not going to get the data pulled back. So for it's pretty quick, but if it needs to be absolutely strictly atomic on a transaction, then you might not want to use a read replica option on that particular query. But for most things, it probably makes sense. Oh, and Daryl's asked about pricing on the $2,500 per month for a dedicated private stack, Daryl. So we have that as an option, and then you'll be able to run all your instances. Instead of paying on a per instance basis, you can run as many instances as you can based on the load, and then you can beefing those up. Curious what model Scott uses to power his platform. I think it's Claude somewhere in there, is it? Which model?
It'll be faster just for me to say it than type it. Um, so I use Claude Code most of the time, but I switch back and forth the models, of, even codecs. So I jump around. I have them debate each other and that sort of thing. So I have my own sort of way of doing it. But I use all the frontier models, whatever new is coming out. It's amazing.
And yeah, so
Oh, I'm sorry. So you might have meant like, what am I using for when what the AI embedded in the app? So right now, so I have a thing, I didn't show this off, but you can change the models inside the chat. But it defaults to Sonnet 5.
sonify there, Shane, just so you know. But obviously you've built a abstraction layer so that it's easy to switch between whatever models you want to connect.
Yeah.
And then of course you'll have a configuration option for tokens, and on a per user basis, you then charge for tokens. If you choose to run your own models on a dedicated private stack, then you may not even want to charge for models because you've got embeddings and indexing that's running on the private stack, and you've got an LLM that's sanitized and data sovereign to your solution. And it's not going to get stolen necessarily by some third party.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe the next town hall we have talks about that. I didn't even know that was an option. So that's
It's
cool.
something we're doing behind the scenes, Scott. So we can have a
Okay.
chat about that, because honestly, being reliant on third-party models, eventually we're going to get to diminishing returns when it comes to LLMs, especially specialized ones, and you'll be able to run one minified on an environment that you have access to and others don't. So when that's available, and there are models that are doing very nicely, and all the compute power that's being used to create these just great big fat indexes, they will be optimized, and soon it'll be like, well, I can run it on my, I can run a frontier model that adapts to my muscle tension in a device like this. It's not going to be, I'm not going to need a supercomputer to run them, because the supercomputer is just building these LLMs and indexes. But once they're done, then optimization for a particular task and put on devices like, your autonomous drones and all that doesn't take up much space comparatively. And that's how platform OS actually been built to maximize that, and dedicated private stacks give that capability. So, Scott, let's talk about how we can help you with that scenario as and when it comes up, but we're ready for
That
it.
would be amazing.
Excellent, everybody. Well, this has been fantastic. I'm looking forward to playing around with Scott's app. And as you saw, it was on staging, running very nicely and very responsively. When it's on production, it will be even more so. And we'll watch him take off like a rocket. This is awesome to see. I would love to just finally get any final questions come through from the chat. I think we've answered them all. So thanks again. Honored to have you here, Scott. Thanks, team, for all the incredible work. And to all of our channel partners, keep checking in. We've got a lot of things happening. We want to help provide the tooling so that you don't have to think about back end. You don't have to worry about DevOps. All that's taken care of. And you can go on to keep building solutions for your clients that blow their mind, like Scott just demonstrated his. All right. Well, thank you all. I will hit stop on the recording. Then you can tell us how you really feel.